on Instagram.
Oh, I think, well, it's got the check mark. Oh,
Hi,
hi.
guys.
Hi, guys.
My name is Raw Skye. This is Marabella, and we are the Raw Magic Podcast. We will talk about the magic of raw food, the magic of spirit life. It's not just the science of food. There is so much more. How are you, Marabella?
Hi, I'm so good, Skye. I'm so glad to see you twice this week. Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone.
Yes. Now,
Welcome.
if you're on Instagram, Marabella, you will have to start the live. Just jump back. If you've dropped your key in, you'll have to go back and start the live. While she's doing that, today we are talking more about darkness and what that can do for us, and basically the growth that I especially am noticing coming out after I was sick most of my life. And I got through that, came out of that with raw foods, but a lot of my memory was missing, and I had emotional amnesia from having a dissociation and split in 2017 due to trauma. And recently I had a massive trauma come through, and it's really shifted me into a completely different stage of my life.
Yes.
So we're going to talk more about it.
Yeah, we were together on Tuesday or Wednesday, Tuesday, and Skye was sharing part of her transformation with me, and I was like, Skye, you're different. Like, your energy's different. She seemed more grounded, very much more I want to say reactive, but not in a bad way, but just like saying how you felt, like really expressive.
True.
I think that's how I want to say it. And that just made me, I had so many questions. And I know a lot of people have gone through trauma in their lives, and it really does change you. And you go through these different stages, you go through, like, Skye, well, we're both in blue, the color of communication. But a lot of times you go through trauma, and that is the first thing that you kind of lose when you come back, like your voice. Like, it feels like you have your voice now, like not now, not like you didn't before, but it feels like you're coming back, and you're like, roar, like right into the Lionsgate, the Leoness that you are. Could you share with us, because probably all of us have been through some type of trauma, how did you pull yourself out, and how did you find your voice?
Okay, so I do want to go back to that part where, so I was sick for 32 years, and I have had 60 surgeries. I've had 8 organs removed. I was literally in a room or a hospital for 15 years. I barely saw anybody except carers, doctors, occupational therapists, physios, that sort of thing. So if you were to ask me how I survived during that period, and there were some pretty graphic, horrific times, because I'm having my stomach removed, duodenum, my body's run out of blood. Towards the end, I was in ICU quite often, and they're doing all of these extraordinary, extreme testing because they can't figure out why my body's shutting down. So I know trauma, I know ball, right? But then when I was near death, I was 37 kilograms. If you follow me, you would have seen that picture of me hunched over in a swimsuit where there's nothing of me. I survived another year of that. I got even smaller than that. But there's no photos of me because I didn't exist. I was just in a room. Like, that's it. Even I think the last 3 years, I didn't pick up my phone before I dissociated. So people didn't think I was going to live, but my brain just split. And a lot of when you read about what happened, before it happened, I was staring into space thinking somebody was going to save me. Like, I can't get up, someone's going to save me. And that's very common of CPTSD, complex PTSD, is when you've been through enough trauma and you're in a traumatic event, what holds you on is the belief that someone or something, or when you hear a siren or when you hear a helicopter, that it's going to help you because you're just so far gone.
Wow.
All this is starting to come back to me, right? And then I split, and I was on small amounts of.
Can I ask a question really quick?
Sure.
What does it mean when you say that your brain split?
Okay, so that's a good question. So when I talk about all the trauma, hang on, let me just get rid of some of this. when I talk about all the trauma that I went through, is including losing my stomach and going through all of those really hard times, is you can scream, cry, fight, you have emotions. But if I look back, I'm always me. There's really big downs, and then you come back up a bit, huge downs. But essentially, if I look back, you're the same person.
Right.
And you have better coping mechanisms the longer you go along, and you don't cry as much and things, but you're essentially the same person. All of a sudden, it's like the reality is not there anymore. So I didn't talk, I think, for 2 weeks before I ended up in a psych unit, or I'd talk briefly, then I'd stop talking again. If you were to daydream, when you catch yourself and you don't even know what the daydream is, or some people daydream, it's almost like your brain has become a belief that that's safer than the world you live in. Like,
Mm-hmm.
can you imagine all of that trauma is you start to believe more in the daydream because it makes you feel better. And it starts to feel more real. And over, I think very quickly as well, I was coming off opioids for years. I was on hormone replacement, which affects the brain. I was on SSRIs. I was on amphetamines because I just couldn't concentrate anymore. I was on Valium. I've been on all of these for like 10, 15 years. So this isn't a new thing that triggered. I've been on all these meds for a long period of time. But the opioids, I'd been coming off for 5 years. I was on massive doses for all the surgeries. As soon as they fixed it, you start to come off. I couldn't come off quickly because I was getting so sick every drop, but I couldn't stay on it because I'm not in pain. It made me sick. So I was almost coming off it faster than the doctors wanted. And that's when I got, my body just started to fail. I was constantly vomiting, going from constipation. There was more surgeries on my bowel. It was like a lot, right? So at this point, I then ended up being placed in a psychiatric unit. Okay. And I have been in a room for 15 years. I have private health insurance, and I think this is a unique way to get well, but a public acute psychiatric unit took my benzos off me. So diazepam instantly, been on it for 15 years. My SSRI, I'd been on it for 20 years. My amphetamines and opioids.
And right there, it's like when you go off certain ones, they can't just take you off, right? They're supposed to wean you off little by little by little, and they just took you off like that.
Yes, instantly. So if you go online, you can watch videos on people who are on one of these medications and the brain damage they have 10 years later because of one of these. And they've come off not these doses which are higher and dropped. So I'm split. They take these meds, which are brain-altering chemicals, which is probably my last bit of reality, off me. I had been in a room, when I say 15 years, if you know my journey, I've had 60 surgeries, 8 organs removed. I could barely walk. I was on a walking stick. I've really been sick since my teens. This evolved into that. So they did that. And then what they decided to do is, they also took my hormones off me. So I've had a full hysterectomy, and that was the only thing I ended up begging when I came out the other side of this. But then they started injecting me with antipsychotics and things like Epilim, mood stabilizers, which just so you're fracturing on fracturing on fracturing. Okay, the first I remember being in there, and so I'm delusional basically. So my reality that I'm creating is coming off what I'm feeling in my body. So for about 3 weeks, I burnt alive 24 hours a day, because your neurotransmitters, and a lot of people who work in psych units or have been in psych units come off small amounts of meds, will say they will feel like they're burning, or people say they see the devil and things, just because the neurotransmitters and nervous system burns. Okay. So my brain has created this story that I'm trapped in a garage burning alive. And because I'm coming off opioids, they ripped the rest of the opioids, which wasn't as, I was on massive doses for all the surgeries. They took the rest of the opioids, which is fentanyl, OxyContin, Oxynorm breakthrough, and there was one, fentanyl. I think that might have been the 3 that I was left on. Oh, and codeine. All gone. All of this is instantly gone while I'm fractured, while they inject me with new things. So then if you've come off opioids, your bones feel like they're snapping, depending on the dosage you drop. And it's still a huge dose. I'm 37 kilograms. Okay. So then I'm burning alive while my bones are breaking. And there's no normal reality. I now live in this reality to cope, right? And I'm going to the toilet on the floor. I could barely get up. Every time I came to, that I remember, and my brain didn't work. So if I came to, there's no streamline of thought. The first thing, and I will never forget this, that came to me in the dead world that I really appeared back into, it felt like that's where you come back to, was this song, because I couldn't think. I kept hearing songs. It was, how am I supposed to breathe with no air, no air, no air? Because there's no air in the room. Like the windows are, what are they called? Metal barred up. You're barred in. The metal door is locked. They will only open it to move food in. And I didn't eat. I'm already tiny, right? So my brain is using what it can to try and ground back into reality while it's on these new injection type drugs. Everything I've ever known is gone. The room I knew is gone. My old reality was surgeries, doctors, all of these. This is all I knew, right? And here it is, Skye, welcome to the world. I'm going to break your bones, burn you alive, leave you in a room where your brain doesn't work, and even your hormones you're not allowed to have, right? Out of all I've been through, including having 8 organs removed, including being on ketamine for pain often, that is literally being in a fun park compared to what happened to me in this hospital. Like literally, it's like I remember when I came, could think again, thinking, I wish I was back there. That's the best. For years, I wished I was back there because of to know that there's that unbelievable, like I thought I knew ball. I thought I knew pain. I've been on massive amounts of massive painkillers in cardiac units. My heart wouldn't regulate due to pain. It was all erratic. And now they're like, this is the world, Skye. So, so that's basically how I came out of it. There's more to it, but to bring somebody back from the dead, how do you, basically they thought I wasn't going to make it. And that's
somebody left you a sweet, I just want to interrupt you really fast. Somebody said, Skye looks healthy and well.
Oh,
you'd never guess she had this journey.
Just banning some people here.
So that was really sweet. So here you're giving us the story and saying, like, you've been through like 2 sections of terrible, the trauma with the getting off all of the things, and then like before that, the surgeries and things, but now you do look so healthy. So somehow, guys, she got from, I've never heard anything. I mean, I know just getting off one medication, I've heard, is traumatic. So you've had such trauma, and you've gotten from all of that, plus what we didn't even hear about your surgeries, to looking so beautiful and so healthy. How did you do that? How are you with us here today, looking so radiant and beautiful? And she looks like, I didn't see her we did the Raw Vegan Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle together, and then we had time apart, and she had gone through another transformation, and I hadn't seen her, and so I just saw her like the other day, and she even looks even more beautiful than before. So what is your secret? How are you so healthy and vibrant and thriving right now?
Okay, so I think what you need to understand is, I talk about this pivotal point of what happened to me when I was already beyond broken. Like, I don't think someone can be any more broken, and then you hear what happened to me. How somebody survives up to the age of 36. From the age of 8, I got chronically sick, but then I was about 4 years in my teens. I was good. But from about 16, 17, I was always at hospitals, doctors. I missed most of school in year 11 and 12. I was off school more than I was at school in year 12. And then from then, I'm like basically always sick, right? So you're getting sick from a young age. And the only reason I survived, like, what is that, 20 years all up, sick. So I got sick when I was little and it was in the background, but I did really well for a period there, right? So 20 years is you don't survive unless you have certain skills, right? So I am really good, and people always say in my comments when how I'm doing raw, I'll do, juice, fruit, high carb, low carb. Like I'm always adapting. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel right. You
Yes.
have to understand that skill set is what saved my life in the first place. So if something didn't feel right, I wouldn't sit there. And we've talked about how my sass has come back. I would not sit there and
Sassy. I
take
call
it.
her sassy. I was like, I don't know what to call this. You're sassy. Sassy Skye. So
Yeah,
tuning
so I
in
would use that skill
health,
set
or
to
is this
save my
tuning
yeah.
into
So like
nutrition
if
or
I needed a medication, it
yeah.
didn't matter how it was prescribed, I knew I needed it then. If I needed a doctor or some area of my body was not working, I knew to get a blood test. This isn't something that just appeared. This is something which was like, people have careers, they might go to university and they master day after day marketing, or they master day after day, hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
I mastered, yeah, in a 24-hour cycle, how to stay alive for 20 years. Because
Wow.
yeah, that's that. So this isn't new. This has just moved over into raw foods. That's all it's done. Is if I think about who I, especially as time's gone on, I've become more and more like myself. The biggest trait or set or career or the thing that saved my life again when I'd been homeless, and I had the FND, couldn't read or write, and I knew the raw food worked. I could feel it. That's the same sort of skill set which I mastered, but with obviously pharmaceuticals and surgeries and doctors and rest and heat and showers.
Yes.
And if my blood sugar dropped, I knew to have sugar. If I knew there was times where I get so dizzy and disoriented, I knew I was low in sodium. I just having sodium. Like I've always been this way, but I think that's how I lived.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're like a student of yourself, like student of your health. And so you have a degree in Skye, and you put into what you need, right? So um that's super important, and I can connect with that, where I feel like connecting in with my intuition. I did it a completely different way. It wasn't because of being like sick or anything like that, but I went through a degree of trauma as well. And I feel like when you go through a degree of trauma, it breaks you,
Yeah.
and it's in the like coming back, because we want to, I think maybe we want to live. Our bodies want to live. Our spirits want to live. We're here for a purpose and a reason. I'm curious, what would you say your purpose is for being on the planet on Earth? What would you say? And how does that shape your healing journey to get back to yourself, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I first want to say is losing myself was the hardest thing that's ever happened to me. So after this traumatic event, I've been through more and psych units and all of this sort of thing. And then I saved my life with the raw foods. And even then I was aware that who I used to be was not linear anymore. I've said I was so split that when I think back, I'd only be able to think of different versions of myself. And this is all coming together. From losing myself, the only thing I wanted back, including I didn't care if the pain came back or the surgeries or the doctors or I even laid in a room again, I wanted me back more than anything in the world. I would rather live in pain with my identity than no pain and not really understanding or recalling or being able to feel things. So I think
Mhm.
that's really important. What was the first question you asked? Sorry, I've gone off there.
Oh,
Oh, my
I was
purpose, my
yeah,
purpose.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what was really apparent after about the age of 20? So when you first get this sick at 16 or 17, you're just fighting to get a diagnosis. Like that's all I want. They found it a second piece of uterus on a uterosacral ligament, causing severe, basically labor pains daily, is why I ended up things like fentanyl and ketamine. Because of it. And they tried to fix it. It spread over to my bowel and bladder. But that's physical, right? On a spiritual sense, from the age of probably 22, 23, what was very apparent was what I'd already been through was so horrific that I was unique. Yeah, it got worse. They took my stomach,
Oh my
they gave me
gosh.
a full hysterectomy. I needed even more surgeries about my bowel, my gland, all these glands are being removed. They're putting Botox in the spine. Like it just goes on and on. But what was already apparent by 22 to 24 was how unique I was, like that my story is unique. So I think the story starts getting written that it's too big to think more than I believe in whatever's happening. Like I used to just say, and it was above my bed in running, writing, like, I believe. I believe. And what at the end, it was literally like this. There was no emotion around it. It just was acceptance, was I was going to die. Like that's all that was going to happen. There was no like trying to fight it anymore. I was so weak and I had no control anymore. It was like carers and doctors and medications. Or if I survived, I was going to help women all over the world because I knew ball. Like I know suffering, I know pain. I've been through so many different things. And this was even before the psych experience, right? The actual fracturing and losing myself. And it's nice that I can sit and feel that now because I could probably tell you at certain times that that's what I thought. But sitting back and feeling that in that space, someone like myself could still want to get well just to help other people. So I was going to die or I was going to get well and help a whole lot of women never, because basically if I got well, I knew that there was a way out where women around the world didn't have to suffer anymore.
Wow.
Like that. And that's kind of what's happening, right?
It's so amazing. We're so lucky to have Skye, everyone, on our planet with us.
Oh,
Ah,
oh,
you
I'm so
listen
lucky to have
to
you.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh. Thank you for these sweet comments. We love you too, and you're beautiful and unique, just like everyone. Yes, are we all unique? And so if there's a woman out there, or man too, but if there's a woman out there and she's in it, like inner trauma, and she knows it,
yeah.
and you just sometimes feel like this is it for me. I don't know how to climb out of this. I what do I do? What is the first thing that you did? Like how did you this time around? How did you come back to us? We're so happy you're back here with us, but how did you get here?
Okay. So there's obviously different stages. Like I've spoken about how I split. And then you don't have really any memory when I got out of this. I got off everything. I wanted no control. I'd realized that if a doctor can prescribe something, another Joe Blow doctor can take it away in the drop of a hat, right? And I was so scared. So they'd had me on all these antipsychotics, right? Dropped them, got rid of them. People like, is it hard? I'm like, maybe, but not as hard as being locked up, burning alive in that room, right? So dropped them. Then I'm like, well, if I can drop, and it was very easy because I came off all those opioids and stimulants and stuff very quickly. So I'm like, well, if I can do that, I'll just drop this. Like everything now, you become a bit invincible. And
Yeah.
that's common for people who've been through a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
So I dropped those, and then I dropped smoking, drinking, besides the occasional wine. I probably had 5 times where I had like a wine with ice or something throughout that year. This is 2018.
Okay.
Coffee gone, vape gone. All my addictions gone, all processed food gone. So I'm paleo. And the reason I could do that, this is what feeds into this, is I could only do that because I've suffered so much. Like you're like, this is now all easy, right?
Yes. Yes, right.
Yes. So you start to see that, well, if you can go through that much darkness. But then at the end of the year, I got shingles through my eye. And that's where I got
Wow.
I got a functional neurological disorder, which is like I believe it's you see a neurologist. I was put into a neurological hospital for 10 weeks. I had to learn how to walk, talk, butter my toast, put my socks on, everything, right? It looked like it had a stroke, but it's apparently the shingles near the brain can set off a whole lot of inflammation, and I've got a whole lot of trauma, right? Whatever happened, the body wouldn't talk to the brain anymore. I was like, I needed carers again. Anyway, I got some basic movement back, but you get a whole lot of PTSD with it. Then I got lost. Then I had a
Wait,
disagreement with it.
so you got movement back, and then you get
Yes.
PTSD with
No, you
that.
already have the PTSD. So
Oh, you
you
already
lay
have.
there frozen. I was just reliving
Your
things.
mind
Oh,
is racing over
yes.
and over and over and over. Okay, okay.
And then you randomly will
We'll all
just
relate
scream.
to that on some level. Our minds
Yes,
racing.
well, yes. But
Yeah.
you've lost control of your brain to your body, so you'll randomly just scream, or people ask you questions and you can't move your lips and you can't talk, but then randomly you can sit up and see something, but then you'll just go out again. It's horrible. You can Google it, and you have seizures. You keep having seizures. Apparently there's so much adrenaline in your system that it gets released because you can't move just by having seizures. So when I got moving again, hang on, let me just get rid of some of these people. When I got moving again, there's no flow to it. It's like moving like a robot. It's like you're using a different part of your brain to get movement. Anyway, once I got movement back, I had severe PTSD. I didn't want to leave the house. A family member was looking after me, and I was away at their holiday house. And I got into a disagreement, or they were yelling at me, and I just thought nobody wanted me anymore. Like, how can you be as sick as I had? I'd come out of that trauma that I told you, where they ripped everything off, right? Got myself well. Now I'm back here with a whole new set of symptoms. Like, I didn't believe it. I'm like, this is just not happening. So I went into the bush and just lay down. And so SES and all Sydney, there's all alerts going out that I'm missing, police, friends, everyone's come up to this area looking for me, okay? I could see the SES at night with torches, and I just stayed down because I couldn't move much still. I just hid. Eventually, somebody found me on the side of a road, and my sister came, like, she was the first to get there, and she was crying. And my first reaction was, like, I didn't think you'd miss me. Like, literally 100% believed I would not be missed because I'm just so much trouble. Like, how is somebody, like, it's just, so anyway, I'm then scheduled at a hospital near there. Then they take me back to the hospital that traumatized me the first time. So I'm in PTSD, can barely move, been to this more of a psychotic break. It's not the same as splitting originally, where I still didn't have much emotion back, and FND shuts the emotion down. But now I'm back in the only place I didn't want to be in. I'm literally at this point thinking that I've been transported to hell on earth. But I'm vegan. Sorry, I went vegan after I got shingles through the eye. I was so sensitive. I was like, how had I been eating animals? Like, if I've been through so much pain, I can't put it on something else. So everything ordered in hospitals or anybody made me was vegan at this point. So
Did you make a conscious decision to go vegan? Were you like,
yes.
so in that moment of such the pain that you had with the shingles, that was the moment that you went vegan, and it was, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I believe what happened is, I came out of that first psych hospitals incident, and I was so traumatized that I let go of so much. So you don't feel what you're doing to the planet when you are highly medicated, you're screaming
Yeah.
in pain, you're smoking to cope, you're a drinker, you're eating processed foods. Processed food is huge. I got
Yes.
rid of processed food before I got rid of meat, but I felt like by the end of the year, getting rid of all of those chemicals in my brain made me see my plate. I'm like, veggie, bright, salad, fruit, dead limb. Like, there's literally a leg on my plate. I didn't see that until I had cleared. Like,
Because
you have to,
processed food numbs us, doesn't it?
it
It fills
does.
with chemicals, it numbs us. We don't feel good. We feel yucky when we eat it. And then when just getting rid of the processed food
Yeah,
is huge in itself. It's a great step. That's a great place to start if you're feeling
I believe
the
so.
racing brain and the trauma and all of this, and you're in a place where you're stuck. Is a great time to eliminate. And I know you're probably thinking, oh, that's really difficult, but it's you feel so much better that just stay with it, stay at it, and then you'll see what I mean if you do it, or if you don't eat processed food, you'll understand. But it's a perfect place to start, I feel like.
And I think as well, what you have to understand is, it's supposed to be painful so you can get through it and get stronger. There's actually a part of the brain that Andrew Huberman talks about. And what's that? I always forget his name. There's that extremely long distance runner. He was like Black Ops. I
Oh,
can't think of his name. Anyway, there's a part of the brain that gets stronger and stronger. I'll have a look in a second.
okay.
Because you push through
Yeah.
what you're finding difficult, right? We're not
Yeah.
talking about
What did you
trauma
say
here. We're
the other
talking,
day? You had a
oh,
saying. You said something the other day, and you said that, oh, what did you say about going through hell, going through the dark?
Higgins, yes, Higgins.
Oh,
What's his name? Higgins. Oh, look at his. That's his name. They did an interview together.
Higgins. Okay.
Higgins and Andrew Huberman, and the parts. So when we say, I'm going to do this despite us feeling pain and uncomfortable, we strengthen a part of the brain which determines how long we live. So people who have a stronger, I think it's a anterior cingulate, I think that might be, I'll see if I can find it. Yeah, anterior mid cingulate cortex. So it's a part of the brain, I think it's in the midbrain, and yeah, what would be. And this, the more it says here, this region integrates data on effort, pain, the reward to drive action and resistance. It expands in size when you perform tasks you do not want to do, like difficult workouts or direct or stricter dieting, like ways of dieting, which is like picking, not having processed foods. And this
Oh,
is what feeds into us, Marabella. The greatest growth comes from the
yes.
darkest moments, right?
Yes, that's what you said yesterday or whatever day that was. Yes, I love that.
Yes, Goggins. Yes, sorry.
Goggins.
But yes, that he does these extraordinary things, like, and especially I think being in I think it's Black Ops that he was doing in the USA, that they, they tread water for like 24 hours. He's to this day goes running for like 24 hours. Like he's always pushing his brain. And the whole thing about my journey is, if you hear it, is we're not, and I always say this about raw foods and changing your life, is you're not supposed to start by just doing a watermelon cleanse for a year and then you're a perfect fruitarian for the rest of your life. Is you have to make one choice and overcome that. And the skills you learn, like just say you're an alcoholic, don't worry about the meat and the processed food until you master getting rid of the alcohol, right? But
Yeah.
then once you overcome that, the skill set you learn will help you thrive when you decide to quit processed food or meat. Like I could not have got off all of I had unless I was pushed to the absolute brink of hell, like
Yeah.
I was many times.
So you did the vegan. You were at this point when you went vegan. So you went vegan and then you had a downfall and then you
No,
were back. No. Okay.
no. So I think what was happening was I was aware when I went paleo, and it did help me a lot, especially that clarity, getting rid
Mhm.
of all the processed foods. I was barely drinking. It was, as I said, it was occasional wine with ice, mostly tea, got rid of coffee. Is I
Yeah.
started to look at my plate and look around me and be more attracted and try elevate to plant-based, right? To
Yeah.
know deep in my soul, you don't have to tell me that eating animals is wrong. It's just this clarity and density that we're stuck in, that we think the world's got this way, we need this, like a lot of fear, right? But people around me that look bright and healthy, what I'm being drawn to, how much better I feel, is the plants cooked, whatever, but just the plants and the variation on my plate when you've got, as I said, fruit, nuts, a veggie patty, and then a leg is very clear when you clear your brain. Like it didn't, and
Right.
I'm moving, and it's denser too. So I did go into like pescatarian more. So I remember once I'd had the shingles at this stage, because white fish feels lighter.
Right.
It's still not vegan, but it feels lighter. Shrimp or octopus feels lighter. So
Right.
had moved across at this stage till there. And then I think in the back of my head, my goal was always to be plant-based. Like that was going to be
Mhm.
optimal, but how I get there. And
Right.
then I got shingles and I was eating more plants. But then I was still having the pescatarian. And then once I got into hospitals, I'm not going to fiddle fart around with like pescatarian and paleo. I was like, I'm vegan. I'm
Mm-hmm.
vegan. But it was just obvious. And then
Oh,
this intensity of the FND, you feel, you can't do much, but it's like you feel everything so intensely. And I was like, how would I want to hurt an animal? But also I thought, how was I even eating their babies? Like, it was real. I'm like, no one's eaten my babies or like my nieces, or like, why do I think I can eat other babies? Like, it was really part of my awakening. You're
yeah.
awakening, right?
Yes. Wow. And then from there you went to raw.
Well,
And
no. So that
no?
was where I went. That was where I was that whole time. People were cooking for me because this is where I had the FND, or I was in hospital. Most of those year and a half to 2 years before I went raw, I was in hospitals, in neurological hospitals, psych units, come out, have carers. Mum would make me vegan food at home. If I was with carers, they'd get me vegan food. And then when I became an alcoholic to cope with the PTSD that I was living with. So I'm living with mum and dad. I'm vegan. But what I noticed is when they gave me like some wine, it was like a Friday night or something where they have wine with dinner, all my PTSD slowed. Like I could sit, and I was medicated. They'd medicated me again,
Oh,
and I could sit in that. So it wasn't a huge amount, but I would sip on about a bottle of wine and maybe a shot of tequila to top it up at the night a day. Like if I sipped on alcohol all day, it would stop this overflow. And I, in my head, because I studied psychology, I was like, alcoholics have about 2-3 years before they have to deal with this. Like I'm just going to get through right now. And 2 psychologists and 2 psychiatrists that I had knew about it. So they knew it's not the work. Many people come home from work and drink a bottle of wine. This isn't like something that's totally not done anywhere. Is it healthy? No, but it's not like you're just sitting here drinking a bottle of vodka an hour or something. Like
yeah.
they knew about it, and I guess lots of people probably do it to some extent. But then my
Yeah.
liver failed because
Oh,
my past, I've had all these medications, I've got all these organs removed. I'm not normal. And I was
yes.
rushed to hospital again. And I was in hospital for 3 weeks. And this is where my parents said, you can't come home. We're cutting you off. And I can still barely not do much because the FND doesn't go. It only went when I went raw. So I'm not able to move that well. I tried to go to rehab, and I just kept having seizures. And this is where I start ending up homeless, where the hospital would release me and I don't know where to go. I can't use my phone. The FND means a lot of time you cannot read, you can't concentrate. There's money in the phone. I just couldn't use it. I would sleep outside hospitals hugging onto air conditioning vents, because it's the middle of winter. Air conditioning vents for the hospital release heat. So I would like cram around that. And then my brother-in-law would help me get hotel rooms, but I would just walk into the wrong room. My brain did not work. FND is just like your brain body, nothing would work. And then I would end up back in the psych unit. They'd release me back. There was this cycle, or sometimes I wouldn't even remember which hotel I was at. So I just sleep outside again. Finally, I'm still vegan. And I did go drink a few more times, but nothing like once had my liver fail. Like anytime I did, I couldn't stop because it numbed everything. And I would then try and at this stage, I was just trying to do like a vegan noodle dish, or I would try and get salad. There was this awareness that fresher is going to be better, a juice. Anyway, then I can't remember how it happened, but I got my own place. God, when you've been through what I've been through and you've always had carers and you're almost 40 and you're alone and you're safe, it is like a magical feeling. Like if you look at the apartment, it's this funny little dingy thing with oh my God, it was like heaven. Everything was donated, and it was in COVID. And not that I was well, I would just order my vegan food, but I was too sick to cook. So I just eat the carrot, bit of nuts. And when I did that, I was like, I'm up. Like I was like, and there wasn't all that PTSD. My heart wasn't racing. My stomach wasn't just emptying all the time. I wasn't disoriented. And I was like, I hung the washing out. That was the first thing I did by myself. Usually I would just kind of, if I could, throw it near the heater, like you just lay it out. I hung it out. And then I would feel well enough and make like dry roasted pumpkin with some tomato, basil, garlic. I'd worked out food is affecting me. I had worked out food was affecting me before, especially, and I have histamine, it's just spice. My brain would, or preservatives in like a bag of chips, my brain would go freaking nuts. Like I
Wow.
would be like, I think I wouldn't eat much as well. And I'd have very basic vegan foods. And all of a sudden I'd have like a bag of like some sort of processed dyed chili chips that I have a whole lot of, and my brain, so I knew, but dry roasted pumpkin, tomato, garlic, back to bed for 3 to 4 days. No, please know that my liver was not working well. They couldn't give me any of the intravenous nutrients because my liver couldn't handle it. So I was like deficient in everything, brain not working. And then I would eat the food again, right? Just some salad with lemon juice and avocado, a couple of nuts. But most of the time it was a bag. I carried a bag around of celery, anything I could just munch on. And then I would get well again. Like not 100%, but I'd be up again, right?
Yeah.
And then I tried steaming some cauliflower with turmeric, shaved, very basic, very basic. And once you put the heated food in my system, laying down, but do know my system has 8 organs missing. So the taxing effect, while I've got all these nutrient deficiencies of cooked food, is probably really high. So yeah, and then from then on, I remember standing outside and standing outside in the sun, like standing and being like, Skye, if you knew you could have your dream life and you could probably get your family back and you could just live well, could you eat the food not cooked? Like in my head, I'm like, you want beetroot, you can't put it in the oven, you can't put it on the stove, you just eat it fresh and you'll get your dream life. And I was like, I can do this. So I was still occasionally, I said, going back to drinking, I was a vapor and a smoker. That helped me with pain at the time. I didn't have much processed food then, but I let go of everything in that moment. Coffee was the hardest thing to let go of. It took me, I think, 6 goes. I was raw. I go back 6 times. I get a small coconut coffee. But besides that, and remember my B12, iron, everything's really low, so I am really tired. It just got better and better. And in those first 6 months, I reconnected with my family. I built my website. I wrote pages and pages of all these raw recipes, which is still on my website. I got a job, started working in disability and helping other people. I got some inheritance. Sadly, my grandma died. I used that to get an apartment, this apartment, and have a mortgage. And then by 9 months, I'm swimming out the back of the ocean. I'm taking dance classes. Like this is all in 1 year with raw food.
Wow, that's amazing. Amazing. Wow. And so guys, listen, raw is fantastic for healing, energy, our brains, our spirituality, everything brought you back to life. Christopher says, I can tell by your complexion, you figured this out. Do you believe in occasional fasting? You look very healthy. Your skin tells a lot of diet. Your skin, sorry, I couldn't read that, but
that's right. It does. The skin basically says if you're on the right diet.
Yeah,
so I
hotels.
fast now.
Okay, I get it. Yeah.
I fast now, but I didn't for years. I only started fasting recently because now that I've gained all the weight back, I've been doing this a long period of time, and because I sit better in ketosis, and I don't have a stomach or duodenum or whatever, my body loves fasting at the moment. But I do fast with like a neutral green juice and hemp milk if needed. So I will go days with just cucumber and celery and a bit of hemp milk, and then I'll eat when I need. But it's taken 5 years to get here, and I don't recommend people. I don't think that's the fix. For me at the time, I was just eating anything raw, and it was really important mentally, I think, as well, to do the recipes and have fun with it and not feel it's raw is very hard in the sense that everyone around you looks like they're doing things that you want to do.
Yes.
And so having fun with it, not being over restrictive was a huge part of it. But now I fast a lot. Like if I look on the scales, my weight does not change by more than like half a kilo. It'll just come back up. But it took a while to get here.
Yeah, I do some fasting too. I'll do like a day's fast sometimes, or a green juice fast. I think the longest fast I've ever done is like a juice fast of 7 days. I've never dry fasted or water. Well, I have water fasted for a day and I felt so good after that. But
Oh,
I,
really?
yeah, I was doing green juice once a week, like nothing but green juice once a week, and all raw, not high raw at all raw. And then one day I just thought I'm gonna try the water fast, and I felt so good, like better than ever.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but I
With water, oh, sorry, go on.
yeah, oh, I don't live by myself. I have a family, and so it's hard for me to stay in the juice fast. It's very like after the third day I feel great and it feels normal and I don't really know how to go back into eating again. But um the one day water was great. Um I wouldn't do it if I hadn't already been raw. I wouldn't do it from just having like a high raw. I would only do it from being raw though. But it was great.
So I have, I found I was having digestive issues with a lot of the fruit. Not necessarily is it the fruit's fault, but I have such slow digestion because I'm missing my stomach, duodenum, more of the intestines. I've had so much pelvic surgery near the bowel, plus a whole lot of bowel surgery. So at the start, when I first went raw, I had chronic diarrhea, and so everything took a while to basically slow. But once it slowed, it kept slowing and slowing. So I would start trying to fast and not eat fruit until 1, just because everything was taking a while. And that was really causing problems because you are going down and then you're shooting back up. And when you eat fruit, you're constantly hungry because your blood sugars go up and then they drop, and that signals like the ghrelin, I think it is, and maybe leptin, is it, that keep making you hungry. And I got into greens and keto, and that felt much more stabilizing. But I have done 3 days on water, and what
Mm.
happened was it's really dangerous. I kept blacking. I got POTS back because I had POTS, and so I would just black out. I get up to go
Oh
to the bathroom
wow.
and just black out. And so I moved away from that. It's more a mental thing, I think, for me. I don't want to have that level of any symptoms left. But at the same time, I did want to touch on when my stomach and duodenum and top of intestines were removed is I did not eat. I think I tried to eat twice, and that's when they had to remove more of the digestive tract for about 2.5, 3 months. Okay. And people are like, oh, you would have had sugar infused. They couldn't because my heart was too irregular. So if you have, I had an infusion of painkillers, fluid, and sometimes electrolytes. When the blood test showed my electrolytes out, I had blood transfusions, but there was no carbohydrates, there was no fuel. So I was in autophagy for that period of time. And the other disease in my hip, that pain went for 10 months after that extended period of no food, which I was so tiny. My vision was so clear, my vision. And when you eat for the first time after that period, everything tastes like it did when you're a little kid. You
Yeah.
forget that over time things change. So fasting, I guess, would work. But also, I've done interviews on my channel with Lauren Lockman, and I ask about people who fast from a standard diet. And he's like, yeah, people who are partiers, high business people, processed food, and they come and they give themselves a break. But I almost think then fasting would become a drug. Like, as
Mm.
in, like, I can treat my body like crap because I'm going to book a fast in 2 weeks.
Right.
Whereas what I
Right.
think you're doing, or you try and do, give your body a break, is you're already looking after yourself. You just want
Uh-huh.
to push that a bit and then come back.
Yes.
I think they're completely different. I think if
Mhm.
you treat your body terribly and fast, you're using it as like a band-aid. Whereas if you're doing the best you can and want to fast, I think that's probably a more optimal way of doing it.
I feel like that too, because then after the fast is over, you have to go back to eating. And how are you going to do that? It's much easier to go back to eating if you're raw than it is if you're going to go back to a standard diet. You have to really be careful of what you take back into your body. You have to be so careful so that you don't feel sick. And so I feel like it would be really hard to go from a standard diet fasting and then go back without instruction. You'd want to consult a little bit of help on that, I would feel like.
Yeah, I'm just going to delete these people. I'm keeping an eye on the comments. The good thing about, if there's lots of comments, there's lots of people watching. So
Yes,
I'm just,
glad to
which
see
is good. We're reaching people.
Yay.
So I
For
think
your
that's, yeah,
questions.
I think that's a really good thing to do, is not use anything as a band-aid. And, but I
Mhm.
think coming back to everything that I've learned um, along my, I'm just trying to remove this here, along my journey, is because a lot of people want to completely change their life and their health. And I think the best thing that anybody can do out there, like the one thing that I know still, is baby steps. Like I feel
Mhm.
like the first part of my life, like the doctor, a strong medication is like the hare running through life, like the rabbit that's always trying to race, thinking that going fast and hard is going to get you there. I think when
Mhm.
you get on a health journey, you become the tortoise, and you just got to keep showing up. You just got to keep, and even if the first, just say you, especially if you've treated yourself really badly for many, many years,
Mhm.
one change is going to be so massive. Like, and
Yeah.
as I say, if you're, drinking and smoking and you're having meat and processed foods and you want to be plant-based even, is I don't think there's any point trying to just go plant-based instantly. I think you're
Mhm.
better, the value I have from step by step, going back a bit, step by step, has gotten me to where I am now. Unless you're like stage 4 or 5, and you can always make more conscious choices, but pick
Mhm.
one thing you want to change about yourself and
Mhm.
fully commit to that, because you can't
Yeah.
get rid of a second habit until you've got rid of a first. Like you can't say I've got rid of 2 habits. Most
Mhm.
people go plant-based, they swing back. I'm struggling with this, struggling with that.
Yeah.
I've tried this, I added this, then I bought this course, and then I got these vitamins. And it's like, no, no, no. Just
Mhm.
pick one thing and become the master of it, because whatever techniques got you stopping drinking, you can use them to stop coffee. But you can't stop the coffee until you master at least. You have to pick one. And it's hard to stop coffee if you're drinking, because you're going to feel terrible and you're going to want all these things that don't serve you.
Right, if you just could cut everything out and go to raw, it can be quite a shock, and the discipline, I mean, you don't wanna do something that's gonna make you feel terrible about yourself, like,
Yeah.
if you wake up tomorrow and want to go raw, I agree with you to go one step at a time, one step at a time, because we want, and this is all about self-love and feeling good and making healthy choices for yourself, and you want to feel good, you want to feel your best. So, start with adding in a green juice, add in a salad. Um,
Yeah, so Charlene over on Instagram has brought up a good point, and women want to be careful about fasting, not just because of their adrenals, but well, essentially the adrenals are going to start throwing out all the different hormones in their system. And I don't know whether you heard this part, but I still don't fast as in fast. I've got hydration and electrolytes and
mm,
hemp milk if I needed. I will
yeah,
never commit to somebody else's so-called protocol, like I've got to push through, because
great.
that's what I used to do and it didn't serve me. So it's definitely about feeling good. So if I
Mhm.
am fasting and I don't feel good, I don't push through. That's what I don't do on this diet. I will just eat. And I won't not be like, you didn't make it, you couldn't do it. My body wanted some food, or I might make a light soup, and I think that's really important, because I think the more you push yourself, not even with just fasting, but you do like really low fat or really high fat, anytime you stress the body out, you will throw out your hormones and your body will have to compensate in some way. And
That's
that
a
is,
really good point.
oh, it's like massive.
Really good point. It's a really good idea to have to know what you want your outcome to be, to have your intention, and it's a really great idea to have like how you're going to do it, like have your plan too, so that you can follow through and
Mm.
less disappointment. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll bring some of these up. I just want to bring up this one because it just came up about meds have destroyed me.
Mm.
I will say that, and you probably missed, I don't know if you heard me earlier talk about what actually happened to me at 37 kilos after being in a room for 15 years. They took me off SSRIs, opioids, uh, multiple opioids, Valium, SSRIs, stimulant medication, opioids instantly while I was already fractured, and what that did to me. But I do want to say I believe there is underlying, and I know someone brought up Peterson, Michael Peterson, and he was on an SSRI, just one of these drugs, and he can't function. And he's a psychologist, a professor of psychology.
Wow.
So this is what I'm trying to say. And I was already fractured, and then they injected me with new ones. Anyway, I don't believe my brain would function without raw foods. I believe what was happening with the FND that came on later, because you can have delayed effects and damage to, especially the benzos, which I had been on for, I think it was like 12 years for pain. But if you can't change it, what can you do about it? So you can't keep saying the meds have destroyed me. What can you do about where you're at right now? And for me, every step I took, like paleo, vegan, plant-based, raw gave me my brain back, even though it took 3 years for my memories to come back. And I'm not saying you have to go raw, but if you keep sitting, you end up, like I did, thinking you need the medications back and then getting more damage. Well, not that I thought they scheduled me again and give them to you, but I think it's really important that if this has happened, because there is a book called Nutrient Power, and it's about a neuropsychiatrist who has discovered you can cure every single mental illness by getting a nutrient deficiency fixed inside the brain. This does not work by taking more vitamins or getting injections, because it has to get inside the brain. And a lot of this has been passed on just by bad lifestyle through what we call epigenetics. But the key to this is if he does a urine test, blood test, tissue test, and he discovers somebody's schizophrenic, he has a set combination of a continual infusion, which has to go through their system so their brain picks it up, right? And if you give the person with schizophrenia the ADHD combination as an infusion, you'll heighten their schizophrenia, because one is more deficient in vitamin and zinc in the brain. Like, we're talking about brain cells, and the brain has the glymph as a cleaning system, not the lymph. So it's like almost like left. Also, no, the brain is not strictly required for life. So if you've been in a situation like flight or fight, you need to breathe. You do need to eat. You do need major organs like your liver, you need kidneys, you need heart, you need all these functioning. You don't need higher cognition. You just need the lower levels of your brain, the hindbrain, working so you can breathe. So this is why these things never get addressed. And when you eat raw, you do get a huge amount of electricity through your body, huge amount of nutrients, huge amount of hydration. And I believe you can rectify a lot of these, but it takes time.
Isn't that amazing? Like, we were put on this earth and we have the raw foods for us to eat, put on earth for us. It even mentions in the Bible that God gave us the fruits and the vegetables to eat. And that's what we can live on, everyone. Like, it blows my mind. So easy.
Definitely.
We make it hard. Society makes it hard, but it is actually really easy.
Yeah, so I was on codeine, fentanyl, OxyContin, Oxynorm, Endone, Arapax. I've also been on another form of SSRI. I was on dexamphetamine. I was also on, what's the long-acting one? I've been on like all of them. Then they ripped it off, and you should be tapered. Like, I know people who still can't come off the lowest dose of one of these drugs. And while I was fractured, while I'd never lived, like, it's, to me, that part of my life is so unbelievable. Like, it's just but I would not be functioning without the raw foods until I got to that level. I think that was really important. I also want to give a fair warning out there is any drug that you do take, unless you're in an accident and you need something instantly to save your life and you don't have a say, is please fully read the pamphlet, because most of them do specify all of this damage. In some courses may cause death, because if we don't take responsibility for our health, if we just grab things off the shelf and keep doing them, and especially some of these like medications do have warnings. So I take full responsibility for what happened to me. I don't think what happened in the psych unit is right, but if you have meds in your system, the chances of you being ending up in a psych unit are much higher. That is a risk that I obviously placed on my body. I will not go back there. You know what I mean? Like, I start to think about these things. now. Yes. Here, I was going to. Oh, we've gone way over. I didn't realize.
Oh,
It's like.
that's okay. This was great.
I've learned a lifetime in moderation in consumption and staying away from processed meat is best. I definitely love a plant-based diet, but I can't give up coffee. And I don't necessarily think everyone needs to be fully raw or even get rid of coffee. If you're living your life and you're happy and it's not consuming you and you're not always thinking about it, you do you.
Yeah, I agree. Balance is key.
It is. So is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Do you have anything that you want to share before we end? That you want?
I don't think you can heal without loving yourself. I think if you're in a constant loop of self-destruction and you're like, oh, but this happened to me, it was this. I was like that. I thought everything was done to me as opposed to I have a choice. And the more I love and put goodness in my body and make good choices, my life just self-corrects. If I want to achieve something, I've learned to work harder on myself than I have on actually like studying it. Like just say I wanted to be a famous basketball player. I would find instead of studying all the books, training excessive amount of hours, I would focus on making sure my brain is calm, making sure I get good food, making sure I'm around people who I aspire to be, making sure I take it slow because I don't want to damage myself. Like that is not how I used to be when I used to be really unwell. So I think loving yourself is so important no matter what stage you're at.
I agree. Loving yourself and learning how to love yourself through good food, great food, raw, preferably we like, but like as Skye says, you do you. And tuning into your intuition, that seems like such a huge part of your journey too. You just seem to have like claircognizance. You just seem to know what is right for you. So that just takes practice going in through your heart. Tuning in there always has the answers, I feel like. So
I
yeah.
love that. I also think I think a lot of people get scared of the intuition and looking after their health and making choices to better themselves because they may feel they get a wrong symptom. So just say you're not feeling well, and I can get a lot of benefit just from a lot of the things that go on in my body will self-rectify with just a little bit of salt on the tongue and water, right? A lot of because that's quick hydration. But just say somebody is not feeling well and they're like, oh, I feel like I should grab some salt, and they get a really adverse reaction. People then think, oh, I got it wrong. I've done it wrong. I need to get a program. I need an expert. What did you learn from that? That's what you got to keep asking yourself. What did I learn from the choice I made? Because a self-reflection can give you a lot of the answers you need. Oh, that's so nice. Thanks, Christopher. Oh. And Marabella, what would you say is the greatest thing when it comes to healing that you've learned?
I think patience is good. I know that's hard, but knowing to be patient and also visualizing and speaking to your body, like visualizing what you want, how you want to feel, and speaking to your body. I believe our bodies can hear us, and are listening to us. So speaking what you want to your body. I feel so healthy. I am so healthy. Have you heard that song? Every little cell inside my body.
Yes, I have.
So singing that song, just thinking it, believing it, feeling it, allowing it. I feel like we self-love, basically.
Self-love, guys. All right. Well, we'll be back with podcasts next week. Thanks for joining us so much. And love you guys. Love you, Marabella.
Love you, Skye. Bye, everybody.